justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, wow, thank you so much for this evening. This evening represents a great opportunity, great blessing, and a great future. We just thank you that we are standing in this building and in the middle of this completed project that took so many hours, countless hours, lots of resources, from money to time to ideas to just manpower beyond belief. And we thank you for that. We thank you that this is representative of having a vision and following through with it, and knowing that through the ups and downs that you are in it with us every step of the way, much as our lives. There's good days, there's bad days, there's times of struggle, there's times where we don't know what the next day is going to hold, but you see us through, and we thank you for that. So we thank you for this evening. We thank you for your presence at this meeting. No matter where we have a meeting at, we thank you that you are right there with us. We pray for your guidance and your wisdom, and we thank you for each and every individual that's here tonight, and bless them with safe travels on their return home. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. All right. Well, again, welcome to everybody. We certainly appreciate everybody who was able to make their way out here, and this is certainly a great opportunity. So this is going to be unique in many ways. Number one, obviously, this is not our routine meeting spot. Number two, we actually have a new council member to swear in. And so I am very honored to be sitting next to our newest member, Mr. Jason Brewer, who is graciously accepted the role, filling the role of Nathan Conklin, who moved out of territory. And so we needed to backfill that position, and Jason has graciously accepted, and is just, I think people will find is going to be an outstanding addition to the council, because he's already an outstanding member of the community. So at this point, I will go ahead and officially swear you in. So if you would, please rise. If you would, hold up your right hand. I, Jason E. Brewer.
I, Jason E. Brewer.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution.
That I will support the Constitution.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of Indiana.
The Constitution of the United States, or the Constitution of Indiana.
And that I will faithfully.
And I will faithfully.
Impartially.
Impartially.
And diligently.
Diligently.
Discharge the duties.
Discharge the duties.
Of the office.
Of the office.
Of the City Common Council member.
Of the City Common Council member.
Union City, Indiana.
Union City, Indiana.
District 2.
District 2.
According to law.
According to law.
And to the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. We'll have you sign, and you get to keep the nice copy. Sign right there, sorry. Right there. And Jan, I'll have you sign this copy. And while Jason is signing those, again, we're going to keep this meeting moving, because the primary purpose of this evening is to recognize the brand new facility we're in and take a tour. So I trust everyone, council, has had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. And if so, if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion for approval. Oh yeah, it would be good if you do roll call, wouldn't it? Make sure we're all actually here.
Brandon Elmore.
Present.
Bob Leahy. Here. Jason Brewer.
Here.
Tim Heiss. Here. Tito Frias.
Here. And now, motion open for, or questions open for consent agenda.
If there's no questions, I'll move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first. Do we have a second? I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Consent agenda approved as submitted. We have no presenters. We're going to skip down to old business. I assume we have no comments. Do you guys have anything you need to add outside of your report? Okay.
Yeah, just real briefly, we want to, and the Board of Works is recommending that we present to council a need to acquire a used police vehicle. The Board of Works approved up to $10,000 at the last Board of Works meeting. What they have located is a 2018 Dodge Charger V6 with 18,000 miles. It's basically a brand new police package vehicle, but we're going to need an additional $3,750 or $80 or something. So that's what we're needing to approve through council because the purchase is over the $10,000 limit for the Board of Works.
Do they have anything on the vehicle in front of them?
No, because this was just literally brought up.
Is this something that has to be done? I mean, are you waiting for?
The concern would be is that the car's going to be gone within 2 weeks.
Okay. Do you guys have?
I'm kind of brief in that we
Okay.
hear what's happening.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, so it'd be the trade would be the van, which they're allowing $10,000 for the van, and then the additional amount that we'd approved has been approved as $10,000, but we have to approve to total up to $13,795. Correct.
So the total purchase cost is $23,000.
Total
We
purchase
get
is
$10,000
yes.
on trade. So
$10,000 on trade for this. Yeah. And the van was donated, by the way, several
The
years ago.
van was donated?
The van was donated by Rob Light.
If you would mind, go and share that information with Jason so you can take a look at
Yeah,
it too. So do you guys have any questions?
And I understand like the function of the van would be replaced by the Tahoes, basically.
Effectively,
Yeah.
that's correct. The Tahoes, the cruisers, they've made the cruisers basically autonomous at this point. So they're carrying all their weapons, they're carrying breaching tools, they're carrying all the equipment in every vehicle now that they were housing inside that van. So the van has basically become a runaround vehicle for the most part, and we need something that's basically going to be on patrol. Is that an accurate? So, and again, this is partially to combat some of the concerns that are out there. We're moving to more of a assigned take-home vehicle process, and that's what this is facilitating. So,
it doesn't increase the size of the fleet we currently have.
Yeah.
We've had 7 vehicles, including the van. We're just trading the van in for a more police patrol-worthy vehicle.
I think it makes sense.
If there's no other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I move that we approve the motion for the purchase of the 2018 Dodge Charger. Do we need anything else?
Getting that?
It's Bob, right?
Bob.
Yeah.
Do we have a second? I'll second. We have first and second. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes. No other surprise. Old business 2022-05, which is the salary ordinance amendment. That is on the second reading for the city manager. No changes have been made since the first reading. If there's no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion for approval on the second reading.
I'll move we approve ordinance 2022-05 salary ordinance amendment for the city manager on the second reading by title only.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Brandon with the second. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes. And moving along, ordinance 2022-08, which is the backstay lofts, no parking zone. And this is also on second reading, also has been unamended since its initial reading. If there are no questions or comments on the second reading, I would entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve ordinance number 2022-08, ordinance amending Chapter 7, Schedule 2 of the Codified Ordinance of the City of Union City, Indiana concerning no parking areas.
We have a
By
first? Oh, sorry.
title only.
Title only, thank you. We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jason. By- So roll call vote, please.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy. Yes. Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
All right, moving along to new business, we have a total patcher on the agenda. We do have Brad here. I don't know if you guys worked this out between you in terms of addressing the matter.
Yeah, basically this piece of equipment, for the last several years, can everybody hear me? For the last several years, we've been borrowing this piece of equipment from Randolph County Highway Department. We have attempted on a couple of different occasions this spring to secure the vehicle or the piece of equipment, and we've had some unsuccessful attempts. So what we're fearful of is that we're going to struggle getting this piece of equipment for our community moving forward. Brad and I have discussed it. We've missed some really prime opportunities to fix some of the potholes and the issues with our street. It's a very useful tool and much needed piece of equipment. But when we don't have access to it, when we're not controlling it, we can't be efficient and use it multiple days in a row. So what we would propose is that we look to purchase one. Brad has traveled to Greencastle to view this piece of equipment. It's a steal at the $19,500 or whatever the total price is that you have in the packet. So we would be recommending that we go ahead and make this purchase. We discussed it at the Board of Works, and I think we're going to make contact with them on the lease purchase, which would require a payment this year, and kind of build that payment out next year to come from wastewater, water, and street equally, and but we will get the equipment right away. So again, this is a needed piece of equipment that we would be using on a regular basis for the streets and the alleys and things like that.
So it's just a patch?
It basically applies a liquid asphalt emulsion. It's got a blower to facilitate cleaning the area. It puts down the emulsion and it applies the rock or the aggregate, and then it seals it all up.
I think this is a great idea. I mean, I think it's something that we need in our community. I mean, aside from the fact, you know, what the gas company has done to our streets, I mean, there's many alleyways and areas that this piece of equipment can be utilized, and I'm all for it. I mean, it sounds like a decent price to get the piece of equipment too. So,
One of the other features, this piece it can be used to crack seal.
yeah.
And so, and we haven't used the counties for that purpose, mainly because we've had it in limited times every time we've had it, and just concentrated on patching. But there's a lot of places that can be used as crack seal, and actually, Brandon, when you bring up the gas company making all the cuts, Brad, we're probably going to have a lot of crack seal work to do around patches as they come along over the years, aren't we? So it could be very useful.
We've used the county's machine for probably the past 3 to 5 years. There's hundreds of patches in Union City. You drive over there today, I don't know if you see them or realize them or not, but most all of those, as far back as we can go to when we started, most all of those are still right there doing exactly what they done when we first initially put the patch down. It's a permanent repair. They stayed very nice. So,
It wasn't the same machine we used, was it?
what's that?
Was it the same machine?
Yeah, every time
Not the exact same.
No, I see.
The same identical.
Oh,
This one's, how old did you say this one was?
I think it's an 04. It's got 3,100 hours on it.
The one we're buying has a lot less use than the one.
A new unit's going to cost you, depending on the amenities that it has on it, $60,000 to $70,000. And we can get this this one for 19.9, so.
Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval to pursue the total patcher that's in discussion.
I'll move that we move forward with the purchase of the total patcher. Do we need a price associated with that motion?
Usually not to exceed is what we generally go with. So,
Yeah.
is that-
we
Not
have
to
a
exceed
price.
20,000 then, or, I mean, do we?
Yeah.
have a
what's
price
the
on
room in that?
The only thing that's a little bit up in the air is we don't know if there's going to be any interest if we go with the lease purchase and push the payment back to 2023. So if we could do something to accommodate some simple interest, I think that would be in our best interest, just in case there is. Did you get a hold of him this afternoon?
4.9%.
4.9%, so.
So should I amend that and say up to 25,000, or, I mean,
I think that's safe.
okay. So
Not
Dan,
to
you have that, up
exceed-
Not
not to
to exceed 25,000.
we have a first on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Okay, and then the last item on the agenda is Resolution 2022-R-08. This is the housing project loan. This was probably a good 2 to 3 month process that we've been going back and forth with the county, between the council and the commissioners at the county level, to address the gap between what our lease, our bond will cover and what the total infrastructure cost is. So to meet that gap, what the county has extended, it was somewhat middle ground. Honestly, it was not what I wanted for the community, because I wanted to see more. And I know the county's got their responsibilities too in terms of what they have to tend to, like we do on a city level, but they're on a much larger level, obviously. But I wanted to see more buy-in from the county level, being totally honest, being transparent. And I expressed this in front of them in terms of housing is our number one need in this county, because we need more. It's like a stadium for sports, so you need more butts in the seats, is what it is. We need more people living here. And so and this is just my take on it. This doesn't mean this is the take on it. This is my opinion is, if you're bleeding, you apply the tourniquet. And you do whatever it takes to apply the tourniquet. So, but on the flip side, thank goodness, there was still an extension of a $350,000 loan, and at zero interest. So that's the good side of it. Payable over 7 years, $50,000 per year is what we're looking at. Basically, we've made a commitment, I think, as a body, collective body, and I know we've had council members, including Tito. I know you said something publicly, and I believe, I don't know, I think maybe Nate or somebody. I want to throw you under the bus, Nate. I'm trying to think. Somebody else said something in terms of the need for housing in here, and the fact that we've been going through this process for a long time now. It's been well over a year, and the feedback from the community has been overwhelmingly positive, actually. And that goes down to the meetings that we attended to get the TIF approved. When we had the public hearing, neighbors were able to show up, ask questions, so forth. And so again and again and again, the need was stated, or the issue was stated. We need this. We need the housing. So I don't want to say our backs up against the wall, but in many respects they are. We have to do this if we're going to make a difference and we're going to take a step forward. And so this is what's before you then at this evening for Resolution 2022-R-08, which is the $350,000 loan from the county for the infrastructure. And I can't stress enough, this is a couple things that's important to note. This is for infrastructure. This is not for the housing. This is for the infrastructure to foster development. I know you guys know this, but I need to state that as publicly as many times as I can. So we're not footing the bill for the housing. We're footing the bill for what we're charged to do anyway, and that's take care of what's in the ground. And then I had another thought I was going to add to that, and it's completely skipped my mind. Well, it must not have been that important. So, but that's what I want to stress, obviously, is that this is for the infrastructure. So,
Question.
yes.
Paying $50,000 a year to repay this, awesome that it's interest free, and the bond. What does that leave us? Are we looking at several years of super tight budget, or still doable?
Over the next 7 years, we're not going to have as much flexibility as what we've had over the previous 7, obviously. The bond, though, the idea is on the bond payment. I don't have the payment schedule in front of me. I apologize. But the idea with the bond payment is that's what our TIF will assist us in paying back. But the challenge with the TIF is we will not be collecting TIF funds until the houses are built. And that's why we're on an aggressive schedule to get the houses built, because the TIF's been approved. So Ward Construction is committed to building this fall. It's the second the infrastructure is completed.
Where's our repayment source? Is that edit?
Yes, that's what's stated in here. Now, obviously, edit funds, we can, if we need to, we can do, yeah.
What's our yearly allocation? How much do we get usually for edit?
100 and, what is edit generally? 100 and, 160 or 100?
I think it's,
Has been upward of 170. Yeah, I mean, we use it, but we haven't been using it up.
well, revenue year to date is 90,441, and that's through April. It's 17,657 a month.
So take 17 times 12. So
It's
pushing
about
200,
2,000.
yeah, pushing 200,000.
So I mean, it's a nice little chunk, but this is one of these projects where it's an investment. You're bringing in high-end housing that allows investor types to come in to consider Union City as a place they might want to set up their manufacturing operations or other types of businesses. And this is the idea. And if some people have questioned me about that, and why are we building high-end houses? Because that is what attracts jobs. Investors that create jobs.
Yep.
All right? And there'll be people from this Union City who move into that neighborhood, but they will also free up housing for others. Right. So everybody's going to get a step up from this. So I believe
that's a good point. Yeah, in fact, we have a meeting with Ryan Gall, President of Truck Division Workhorse, tomorrow at 3:30 to go over some things. And housing, he brings that up, and I'm honest, as the day is long, he brings that up every time. Every time he brings it up. Because, in fact, it was disheartening. The last meeting I had there wasn't with him, it was with the plant management. And they were shared about 3 people they just brought in, they just started that week, and they all lived out of town. So, it's just like, and I don't mean just out of town, 2 of them lived out of the county. So we're missing the bucket here. We really are. We need that, and that's, I think that, I just realized, I remember one of the council members in county council that had struggled with, he kept saying, but we approved the TIF. We're allowing that to be TIF, so we're not getting anything. That really rubbed me the wrong way, because you're tripping over pennies on the way to making dollars. Because you approve the TIF, but you're bringing a family in, and a family of 4, studies have shown, that numbers have vetted out, that means a lot more economically to a community and to a county than having the TIF dollar, or than having the tax dollars that were attached to a piece of farmland, which is what it was. Okay? So let's make sure we keep things in perspective. This was farm ground that was being tilled, and I'm thankful for every piece of farm ground we have in this county. But let's what's that?
They're still not losing that.
Yeah, exactly.
I still get that.
Yeah. Well, so again, that's important. That's an important note of clarification. Bringing people in, bringing new taxpayers in, bringing their families in, bringing new ideas in, bringing new residents in, bringing new students into our schools, all of that stuff is what needs to be job number one right now, priority. So we build, so we grow.
But those TIF dollars are still in the county. They like say they don't necessarily directly hit the county tax coffers at at that given year, but it's still invested in the county. It's still
Within the county
maintained.
borders, yeah,
Yes.
because it has to go into the project.
And you've got to think way farther ahead that this is a TIF is 25 years. Well, 25 years, snap your fingers.
Yeah.
And so we've got to think that far in the future. And
And it's 20
think
years.
about if people.
Yeah,
had
it's
done
20
this-
years too. The
oh,
TIF is
20 years,
20.
sorry,
Yeah,
excuse
it's
me.
20.
And think of what happened. What would be like if 20 years people did some of the things that we're talking about.
Oh, I know.
Where we would be right now.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, 2002, there's my age getting older. 2002 doesn't sound like that long ago to me, but it's 20 years ago. So somebody done a housing project in 2002, we'd all be benefiting from it right now. Of course, housing TIF was not available back then. This is something new that we've been able to take advantage of. So anyway, if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we approve resolution 2022-R-08, resolution of the City of Union City for the Union City Housing Project and related matters by title only.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
All right, now, any visitors wishing to approach and address the council? If so, please stand, state your name, address, and nature of business. And no worries if there's not. All right, the next council meeting will not be here. The next council meeting will be Monday, June 13th at 6 p.m. The next Board of Public Works meeting will also be Monday, June 13th at 1 p.m. And those will be in our council chambers downtown on Columbia Street. With that, I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment of our council meeting. We have a first, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying, Brandon, second. Tim's first. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
30 minutes.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. Wow, I think you can hear me now. Well, we collect a few more names. Once again, thank you so much for being here this evening. This is just wonderful. I don't think it can ever be stated too many times how awesome it is when ingenuity and hard work and planning all come together, because that's what you're sitting in, literally. And so we really appreciate you being a part of this, because there's people in this audience right now that played a very significant role in being a part of this. There's people in this audience right now that get to be on the receiving end of all this hard efforts. No pun intended, but just being in this facility is something, because this was fun, and our previous mayor was blessed to have Brian Conklin here. We'll speak to it, but this was years in the making. And so, like many great things, they just don't happen overnight. So thank you, Rob. Certainly, what I would like to do is take a moment to recognize some of the special guests we have here. And if you don't mind, please stand when I state your name. And please accept my apologies if there's someone here that I have missed. Mr. Mark Sullivan of Midwestern Engineering. Mark. Mr. Mark Studebaker of James Jackson Company. Thank you, Mark. And Mr. Nathan Burkhart from Toric Engineering. Nathan, thank you. We also have a county councilman here, Dave Lincolnstoffer, local resident as well. Dave, good to see you. And we have, obviously we're very blessed to have, again, our previous mayor who spawned this very arduous process years ago, and Mr. Brian Conklin. So I'm going to have Brian come up here and share a little bit of the genesis and a lot of the blood, sweat, and tears, and probably sleepless nights and a few other things that went into this process. So Brian, if you don't mind.
It's kind of funny when you think back. I was on council about 18 years ago, and we were talking about all the problems we had at a wastewater treatment plant and whatever else, and basically we were running it back then with duct tape and baling wire till now, and nobody is here from USDA. So a guy by the name of Michael Cunningham, we were going through the process of an application with to get a grant, whatever else, and he said, do more than just fix it, because our project that happened in the 80s was, things didn't go quite the way we would like to back then. But through the help with Michael Cunningham, we got a sizable grant to move the project forward. But then we went through a few engineering firms and happened to meet Mark Sullivan and with Midwest. And about that time, actually, our clerk treasurer, who had left and went to go work for the engineering company, and I had it about up to here with engineering firms. Everybody wanted to tear the place down and start from scratch, talk about new plants, do this, do that, propose different programs that the USDA really wasn't too fond of. So I sat down with Mark and I said, Mark, one thing we're not going to do, we're not going to tear the place down. And really what we were needing was what was under the ground that needed to be fixed. Well, then there's a few other things out here that need to be fixed as well. But through the help of Midwestern Engineering, we're blessed to have this great facility. But I never had a chance to meet the folks really from Jackson early on. But Mark, appreciate all, nothing but great remarks from, and I'm not going to butcher his name, but Tom B. Did a great job representing your company. But through the help with Monty polling and good Lord, I remember I told this story today with Rob. I said we came out, we were coming out just to kind of do a plant inspection, and we walked around and the place was a mess. you'll open up electrical cabinet and you look in, it's wires are hanging and whatever else. You go in one room and you'd smell like electrical, something was burning, and it was just, you know, like I said, this place was held with duct tape and baling wire. But through the help of Monty and I, we put our heads together and as we said, was fortunate enough to meet up with Mark and his team and put this facility together. But during this whole time, not only was the plant failing, we didn't really have the right people in place. And I had to convince, where's Brad Mink at? Had to convince Brad that he really needed to be a bigger part of the city operation. And during that time, we promoted Brad to Public Works Superintendent, and he was helping oversee this facility and whatever else. And lo and behold, there's this one guy, Rob Myers, that we convinced that he really needed to go work out the wastewater treatment plant, and just maybe we can put him in a position where he could manage his facility. And sure enough, it was about 6.5 years ago when he took over, which was about the time I think Midwestern came on board. But between the RBC nightmares that we had, actually the type of units that we had here was the second to the last that was in the state of Indiana. And we were very gracious enough being working with IDEM to allow us all the bypasses we had over the years. But again, it's just the countless problems that I think now this facility maintained or whatever else will last us another 40, 45 years. And just lucky enough to have Rob being in a position out here to take care of this facility and to make it work right. And I don't know how many locations, Rob, you made trips around the state of Indiana, but looking at facilities and just really trying to fine tune the plan along with Mark and his team. And I mean, when you drive by here at night, the place just glows. I mean, it looks like a well-oiled machine. And again, hats off to Rob Myers. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, and hats off to Rob and Brad, guys. That our community, it's always only going to be as good as its people. It really is. We've got an amazing police chief sitting on our front row. We've got an amazing head of street department. We've got fire chief sitting over there, who's also donning the hat of a city manager, and Rob, just the things that you do day in and out. And Rob shared with me, I've gotten to the point where I do one-on-one end-year reviews with folks. I'm telling you what, this man loves what he does, and he does it with the kind of pride and passion that's exemplary to any entity in this country. Anything you could ever run, if you had someone with his degree of professionalism, his diligence, and his pride in his job, the kind of things that were always synonymous with making this country great, that's what you get out here. So thank you very much. So we've got a wonderful evening planned for you guys. As you see, any evening that includes Roots is going to be a good evening. So we've got food and drink back there by Roots. We've got desserts by Manna Delights, which just look phenomenal. And we are going to open it up now for you guys to get up, stretch your legs, grab a snack, and then I'm going to turn over to department heads to kind of show the way in terms of anything that they want to show and anything that visitors want to see, and also any questions you may have. So feel free to ask one of the guys in orange or these two gentlemen sitting right here that are talking and greeting each other. Ask them questions if there's anything you want to know. And other than that, thank you for coming out this evening. Take this place in and leave here with a renewed sense of hope of what's